views and opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting groups. If you'd like to produce a show, call us at 260-421-1250.
Let me be your lighthouse so I can show you the way. Let me be your shining light, keep you from drifting away. I'm the one that makes you try.
Wow, that's a beautiful picture, isn't it? This is Patty Hunter. Welcome to my show. What do you think of that picture? That was beautiful. My name is Patty Hunter. This is Patty's Page. Today, my special guest is Emily Boller. Hello,
Hi,
doll.
Patty. It's nice to be here today.
Oh, she is a painter. I can't get over it.
Yes.
Excellent, girlfriend. What started you to become a painter?
Ever since I was a little girl, that's all I wanted to be, was an artist when I grew up. And I remember my parents had an old piano bench, and one of the kind that opened up.
Oh, yeah.
And I kept all my little art supplies in there,
Oh.
and that was my happy place. And then when I was in high school, I was 16 years old, I had a dream of a covered wagon. My parents lived on a farm, and a dream of a covered wagon on the side of one of their sheds.
Yeah.
And I asked my dad, can I paint a covered wagon on the side of the shed? And he was like, well, he was like, okay, and I can always paint over it if I don't like it.
Ooh.
Well, guess what? He liked it.
Yeah.
And it was on State Road 14, and cars would stop and see it, and then word of mouth, and I got invitations to paint in church nurseries and schools and businesses, and I became a mural artist all through high school
Wow.
and college.
Wow.
Went down, studied art down at Purdue, and that's how I got my interest in art.
So how long were you at Purdue?
4 years.
4 years? Doing art?
My degree is in fine arts, painting, printing,
Right.
and
Sculpting?
and drawing.
Oh, you don't
painting.
sculpt?
I don't.
Okay. I was going to say you
Not
do
that I
sculpt.
have before, but it's not something that
Oh, okay.
I do all the time.
But I love your paintings.
Thank you.
Today, we're going to talk about starve. Look at that.
Do you want to get that?
Starved. What's it called?
To obesity.
Starved to obesity. Now that's interesting. Why was it called that? There's a reason for this, by Emily Boller, forwarded by Joel Furman, MD. So tell me about this book, my friend.
Yeah, well, actually, it all started with my art. I went with the University of St. Francis over to Italy to study the art renaissance over there. And when I was looking at the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel,
Yeah.
I just thought, oh my goodness, it's so beautiful. I would never think of smearing mud on the Sistine Chapel. But I was doing it every day. I was 100 pounds overweight at that point.
Oh boy.
And this was 11 years ago now.
11 years.
And
Yeah.
I was basically putting really self-destructive food in my body, all the processed food, chemicals, all kinds of food. And it was just causing me to be very malnourished. And I was just eating constantly.
But why?
My body was wanting nourishment.
Why did you start in the first place eating a lot? Was it medicine or?
No, actually, when I was about 6 years old, my mom put me on my first diet when I was 6. I was a little chubby, but
Yeah.
back in the 60s and 70s, I grew up on a farm.
Mm-hmm.
Mothers, every mother, not
They
just my
love
mother,
to feed
homemade pies and
homemade.
homemade beef and noodles and
Dumplings.
dumplings, yes. And my mom put sugar in potato salad. She put sugar on tomatoes out of the garden.
Oh my goodness.
We had
Sugar?
sugar on, sugar actually was a seasoning on our table
Oh,
at
my
meals. We could
stars.
sprinkle sugar on anything, deviled eggs, everything had sugar.
Oh my goodness.
And so I really
Add
got
it
the
up.
addiction to it in childhood. And of course, you know, at different times in my life, I tried to diet the weight off. And it always backfired. And I ended up always gaining more weight than I had lost.
Is it a trigger in the brain?
Absolutely, especially when we're eating food that has a lot of toxins in them, which is sugar is a toxin,
Carbohydrates.
processed, highly processed. Now, carbohydrates that are the good food that do not addict a person is fruits and vegetables and beans and whole grains. Those are not addictive. But the addictive foods are like diet pop, diet sodas, diet gum, because it tricks the body into thinking, oh, this is something sweet. And it actually revs up our sweet tooth more than, you know.
Well, these artificial sweeteners,
Yes.
are they, what are they made of?
There's
Chemicals?
a lot,
or-
yeah. They've done research. Some of them have actually like fingernail polish type, the same
Oh, no.
acetone, the same things that are in Drano. But they're in smaller amounts. But if you
But
eat
still.
if you eat them repeatedly,
Caustic,
those chemicals and those toxins build up in our bodies. They cause us to gain weight, but worse, they cause us to have a ravenous appetite, where we start binge eating just to get the nutrients. I say this is a handbook. I actually, to lose the weight, I followed Dr. Joel Furman's information. This is one of his handbooks. He scores foods. He has different nutrient scores. Like kale scores 1,000, spinach scores 789, all down to like white bread scores like 3. And before eating this way, 11 years ago is when I lost the 100 pounds. But before eating this way, I was probably eating about 200 nutrient points a day.
Wow.
And today I'm eating probably 4,000 to 6,000.
So you switch over from meat
Yes.
and bread and potato and rice. Oh my goodness. I've been
It's called low nutrient foods. All those foods that I used to eat, the homemade, even though it was homemade pizza, homemade beef and noodles, homemade meatloaf, whatever it was all very low nutrient foods.
Yes.
There wasn't many nutrients in them. And today I'm eating lots of nutrients. And that's what shut that addictive, I got to have the food all the time. And I have 5 children, and with each pregnancy, I put on at least 20 pounds.
Whoa.
And by the time I was 47 years old, I had already had a heart catheterization.
Whoa.
I still have, these were my pants. The day I started losing the weight, these are the pants I wore that day, 51-inch waist. I had prediabetes, heart disease, really high blood pressure. And I was a mother of 5 kids, and I was sitting on a time bomb for a stroke or a heart attack at any time.
Did you have to take a lot of pills?
I did not at that point. I decided I did not. I had a son at that point with type 1 diabetes. And I decided I did not want to spend 1 penny on diabetes.
Right.
Not 1 penny, because I knew my diabetes was reversible by the diet I would eat, but I knew my son, his pancreas did not produce insulin, and so I just felt it'd be a slap in the face to him if I didn't take care of my body and I had to start taking insulin. And so that was a big motivating factor for me, is not to be diabetic.
Did what happened to your son? Did that motivate you to become more of an artist, to take better care of yourself?
Yeah, actually, that's how I found Dr. Furman. He's written the book Eat to Live.
Eat to live. Oh yeah.
And my husband and I, one night right after my son in 2002, when he was diagnosed with diabetes, I Googled in reverse diabetes. And this article came up by this Dr. Joel Furman out in New Jersey. And I read it, and I thought, boy, that sounds really good. I'm going to, see if I can get a phone consultation with him. So my husband and I, we had a half-hour phone consultation with him, and even though everything he said made perfect sense, and how we could, get our son, even though type 1, you can't reverse it, you can lower the insulin dose. And you can stop any complications from happening.
I have to do that.
Yeah. Well, with me, because it was type 2 I was entering into, I could reverse it. But I went another 6 years eating junk food because even though it sounded good, anybody who even hears this today, it may make a lot of sense. Oh, just eat a lot of produce and nuts and seeds and beans.
That's easier said than done.
Right. But I thought, but that's incorrect thinking, to be honest, because that's what I thought. I thought, there's no way I can do that.
Oh.
But now that I've been eating this way for 11 years, it's such a part of my habit. It's such a part of my husband's way of eating. We don't ever think of going back to eating meat and pizzas and
Are you
chips.
not eating meat at all?
We
no
don't.
fish?
Once in a great while. We'll have fish, salmon once in a while.
Oh.
But it's more as a condiment to flavor chili or something, but it's not... I would say probably out of an entire year, I eat maybe 2 or 3 times, meat. It's more of a flavoring for me.
Yeah.
And I actually lost the desire for it. I do not
So
have a
to
desire.
compensate for the protein, you did mention in meat, you did mention lentils and a combination. What would be a meal? What would you have in it?
Actually, the greens score the highest with protein. There is more protein in broccoli than there is in steak even.
Ow.
And so our meals consist of a steamed green vegetable, and I like to put mushrooms and onions for it just because the onions and mushrooms increase the ability of our body to fight cancer cells. They're like a natural, almost like a chemotherapy type agent in our body.
Yeah.
Without going into all the science, it actually shrinks the vessels that feed cancer cells within our bodies. And so I get primarily from the greens and the beans, and the nuts and seeds are loaded with protein.
Yeah, nuts
Plant
are
protein.
good for you.
Oh, absolutely.
Excellent.
Now, you don't want to have too many
No,
nuts and
you
seeds.
gotta be careful.
For a woman who has weight to lose, no more than an ounce a day.
Oh, I mean, how many pieces?
That's like a little handful.
Like a little
And for a man, they can eat 2 ounces a day.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you are physically active and you're thin and you're an athlete, or you have an outside job and you're just burning calories all day, of course you can eat more nuts and seeds. But for most Americans who sit all day, for a woman, an ounce is plenty, and a man, 2 ounces.
Well, men get more than a woman. Anyways, they burn more off, I suppose.
Probably. They just have bigger bone structure, maybe.
Let's talk about food addiction.
Yes.
Is it a combination of being spiritual, physical, and or mental?
Oh, absolutely. Our bodies, we are spiritual beings, emotional beings, physical beings, and it all, we're all connected into that. And so, we can take care of our spiritual side, but if we're not feeding our body properly, that's going to affect us spiritually, that's going to affect us mentally.
Yeah.
And so it's all interconnected. And same way, a lot of people only focus on getting out of a food addiction with only their nutrition, and that's wonderful. But there's times, especially even today, even though I've been eating this way for 11 years, once in a great while, I'll still have a craving. Maybe it's the first day that Zestos is open and I want an ice cream cone, But instead of just saying, oh, I can't have that, I just say, Lord, give me the strength. I pray. Give me the strength to overcome this. And then I just lose that desire. I don't want it.
Like with any and all addictions, is it a lifelong battle?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
It's even though, like I said, I've been out of this for 11 years, and even though it's easy, I do not crave pizza anymore. I do not crave chips. You could put all of that in front of me, and I just really have no desire for that now.
Yeah.
But I know that if I let my guard down and
Right.
I start compromising and say, oh, well, it's okay to just have a little bowl of chips. I always tell, I don't know what a brownie tastes like. You know why?
Why?
Because I only know what an entire pan of brownies tastes
Oh.
like. I say that
Can't eat just one.
because when I was addicted to junk food, I could easily eat, an entire pint of ice cream or
Oh.
an entire
Ooh.
sack of cookies. So, I know that I don't go there.
Just talk about the book, what you have in
Sure.
it. Now, she gave me a book, the same thing, eh? She autographed for me and everything. Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But let's go and just how to escape food addiction. That's chapter 2.
Yes. You want me to talk about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, how to escape it. The basic thing is the first 4 to 5 days, because we have primarily been eating a very toxic very toxic food for most of our life. Most all of us who've been raised, they call it the standard American diet. That's basically the same foods that most Americans eat: fries and chips and hamburgers and the whole gamut that we have, corn dogs, whatever it is. And because that is in our bodies, and we all of a sudden switch to primarily high nutrient plant-based diet, we're going to have headaches.
Yeah.
Some people have shakiness,
Cravings.
cravings. But it lasts, most people, the first 4 to 5 days.
Right. It was rough.
And then, but the sad thing is, most people about day 2, when they start craving those addictive foods, they will feel better if they stop by the drive-thru and get that hamburger or whatever it is that they're addicted to.
So it's called willpower.
Actually, it's not willpower.
No willpower?
It's, at the beginning, there is willpower involved. But once, those first couple of days, but it's mainly primarily readjusting our taste buds to prefer.
And the body.
To prefer food that does not have salt in it, that does not have sugar in it. Like today, I can take a piece of romaine lettuce and I can actually taste the subtle flavors in that piece of lettuce.
Just like smoking, when you give that up and you start eating food, wow, just tastes different.
Yes, I actually crave, believe it or not, I crave tomatoes now. I crave green peppers.
There's that word, crave.
But it's a healthy craving. There's a difference. I used to crave, like I say, chips and pizza. Cheerios, Diet Pop. Oh my goodness, I love Diet Pop. Yes. Diet sugarless gum. I used to eat just packs of that watermelon sugarless gum. I thought, because it's low calorie, I would just eat sticks and sticks and sticks of gum. But it was revving up my appetite doing that.
That was wetting.
Yeah, but that's basically, you have to stop. You have to flood your body with nutrients.
Yeah.
And once your body, and it takes a lot of people a month or 2 to get really, a good solid amount of nutrients in their body to start, dying down the cravings.
Yeah.
But the worst is 4 or 5 days. But once you can get it through, and I tell everybody not to plan to eat out with friends during that first week, because that first week is when the cravings are the strongest.
You're weak.
And
you gotta be strong.
if you can just hold off on going out and doing a lot of social eating during that time, it's easier for people.
There's no shortcuts. Once the symptoms have been resolved of not eating meat or whatever, you no longer, if you no longer consume toxic foods, the symptoms
Yes.
won't return. Also with same thing with salt.
Yes. And our taste buds, babies have never tasted salt. They're not addicted to salt. It's a learned taste that we've all been accustomed to.
Yeah.
And once we get those addictive taste buds of salt gone,
Right.
We don't crave salt anymore, and we don't get thirsty all the time.
Well,
either.
don't we need salt in our...
Some salt. Dr. Furman recommends we need about 1,000 milligrams a day.
Oh.
And if you eat a plant-based diet, there's about 800 milligrams of sodium naturally found in plants. In celery, in lettuce, all the fruits and vegetables combined, you get about 800 milligrams a day. So you can have some sodium if you limit it to about 200 to 400 milligrams a day.
That's a lot.
Compare that to a slice of pizza, which is about 1,000 milligrams in just a slice of pizza.
Now that just covers the whole day. You don't eat breakfast or lunch. You eat supper. That's not good for you either. You have to eat.
I want to, and that's the thing. I always dieted. I was always going to different diet clubs, diet this, and you had to weigh and measure, and everything was restriction. Oh my goodness, you should see the salad I eat. It's huge. I eat a big salad for breakfast. I make a smoothie. I actually put handfuls of kale in it. Kale. And almonds.
You put strawberries?
No, I don't do strawberries, but I do blueberries and a ripe banana. And get that going in a high-speed blender. Oh, that is so good.
You put ice in there?
No ice.
You put almond juice?
I put almonds in it, almonds and flaxseed. And when that blends together, it's really good.
We got that from Rudy Cashman.
Yes, Dr. Cashman does that too.
One of his books.
Yes.
Cookbooks. And we were following it for a long time. Something happened in the family, so we had to go back on there again.
Yeah.
But it was good. It was good.
I want to encourage people who have children, too, because a lot of times you think, well, if I have a family, I won't be able to do this. My son was 8 years old, my youngest son, when I started eating this way. And I did not force it on my family because it's one of those things. I knew I had to put my oxygen mask on before I could help my family with their, eating habits.
Right.
And so, but after, the kids saw their mother, like my mood swings weren't happening anymore. They saw me more energetic. I went from sitting on the sidelines watching my kids play soccer or watching my kids do things to where actually participating in hikes and bike rides. They had a mother that they never had all those years. For 20 years, I sat. And so they saw the changes in me, and my husband did too. And so gradually I started adding more vegetables to their meals, and nobody noticed. It wasn't a big deal. After about a year, I took, cow's milk out of the refrigerator and replaced it with almond milk. They loved it. It was a gradual process. And like I say, my 8-year-old at the time, when he was 8, he complained. He said, the older kids got to eat junk food. Why can't I? But I tell you today, he is the epitome of health and fitness. He eats plant-based. And he actually interviewed Dr. Furman for a radio class out at Homestead.
I'm impressed.
But anyhow, he's very plant-based. My husband's plant-based. We all eat this way. And one thing, I got bronchitis every January. Every January, I got bronchitis my entire adult years until I started eating this way. I have not had bronchitis in 11 years.
So you purged your body from impurities.
Absolutely.
And you became stronger and healthier, so that's why you're not getting the colds.
Yeah. I don't get, the
Change
typical
the weather does that to me.
flu bugs and colds that everybody gets. I still have to wash my hands real good and be smart about that. But my immune system, when you eat a very high nutrient diet, your immune system gets really strong and you can fight infections. And that's why families, Dr. Furman has a book actually called Disease Proof Your Child. And it's all about, the nutrition part behind, preventing, getting a strong immune system.
What kind of a doctor is he then?
He's a board certified family doctor. He's based in New Jersey. And he's been a doctor for about 25 years.
Oh, so he knows what he's
doing. But here in the recent years, he's been speaking a lot. He's written 6 New York Times bestsellers. Eat to Live, Eat for Health, The End of Diabetes.
And what you have?
This one's the Nutritional Handbook. This just tells the scoring of different, the micronutrient levels of different foods.
So what is his website?
His website is Dr. Furman, that's F-U-H-R-M-A-N, drfurman.com. And he has a lot of articles on there to read, like how to eat so depression is minimized. He has all kinds on autoimmune illnesses.
Which is like
cancer. But he has all kinds of position papers on there that you can read.
So he has a contact
number,
of course.
And then I've written up the 7 commonalities of those who escape their food addictions. I don't know if you can see that. I actually interviewed a lot of people all over the United States, and I compiled their seven typical things that most people have, and they can, if anybody wants to download this on my website, it's emilyboller.com, and this is very helpful too, but my book Starved to Obesity just goes through the whole entire process. I told just the little basics today, but just in detail how to get out of the food addiction.
It's easy reading.
It
Layman
is.
term.
Yes.
It doesn't have any doctor.
Yes, I'm
long
not
words.
a doctor. I never will be.
Yeah.
I never will be. I'm an artist. And I wanted to write it. I wanted to bring, there's a lot of excellent research out there that a lot of
But this is
doctors have.
something personal.
I wanted to bring that information, pull all that information down, apply it to my story, how we can actually implement getting out in very easy, understandable language. So that's why I wrote it. I actually wrote it because I wish I would have had this book when I was a kid. I
Me
wish my
too.
mom would have had this book. It would have saved just many years of a lot of pain and suffering that I
Yeah.
didn't have to have.
You know what? There are people who have trouble reading. Is there any way you can do this in audio?
They are. My publisher is making it into an audiobook here, and I think it within the next month. If they keep abreast on my website, I'm on Facebook and Instagram. I will be announcing it when it's ready to be on audiobook.
So when you release it, let's have you back on my show.
Okay,
Ah.
sounds good.
You can come and show
The audio.
audio, I think. That's cool, man. Well, listen, little lady, this is towards the end of the show. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure
You're
to be
getting
here
to be
today.
like a regular girl.
Yeah, yes, it's been
I
fun.
should have
to-
you more often, really.
Yeah,
So thank you, Emily Boller.
you're welcome, Patty. Good to be here today.
Oh, I know. Anyways, this is Patty Hunter. Thank you for tuning in and watching my show. We'll see you next week. And she did. It's called Starved to Obesity. Do check into it. It's emilyboller.com. Right?
Yes, correct.
Thank you. We'll see you next week.
Godspeed, my love, until we meet again. You're always in my heart and every dream. Don't let this time apart give in to all our fears. God will keep us close from up above. So until